So the Colts have fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys. And Caitlin Clark, grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, like, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just like...
Sophie Cunningham just lit up the headlines with an interview that's got everyone talking, calling out leadership, questioning the league, and even tossing some heat Caitlin Clark's way. She didn't sugarcoat a thing. It was raw, unapologetic, and straight from the gut. Whether you think she's speaking her truth or just looking to stir the pot, there's no denying it. Sophie's words hit hard. This wasn't your average PR-polished soundbite. It was pure, unfiltered gold that shook up the WNBA conversation overnight.
Are you watching the finals?
I haven't watched.
No.
Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I don't know what's going on. I talked to my teammates like the day that we did exit interviews and all of that. And I haven't, I need a cleanse. Like, I'm booking vacations. Wes, we need to go on a vacation and do a podcast.
Let's be clear. Sophie Cunningham has never been one to bite her tongue. She'll roast her own team, call out the WNBA front office, and drop a few unfiltered lines without blinking. Speaking her mind isn't new for Sophie. It's her brand. But this time, she didn't just speak up. She unloaded. No filters, no fluff. Just straight fire aimed at everything and everyone.
I can win and roam it. Like, I can be like, I'm here. They brought, I'll put this shit on. Her not doing that is so incredible. I hope she knows how awesome that was.
You sent it yesterday, and I was like I'm not surprised by it. I'm not, because you know what? Everyone's always trying to get her to wear something or do something, and her to be like.
The vibe was laid back. Sophie Cunningham, back home in Missouri, sipping coffee on the Show Me Something podcast like she didn't have a care in the world. No script, no PR team hovering, just Sophie being her unfiltered self. Between laughing about horses, chatting about the weather, and hinting at a little baby fever, she somehow managed to touch on every hot-button WNBA topic out there, with Caitlin Clark front and center. You've probably seen the moment she brought up, the Indianapolis Colts inviting the Indiana Fever to a game, handing out custom jerseys as a friendly PR gesture. Sweet idea, right? Well, not according to Sophie. Because apparently Caitlin Clark wasn't exactly thrilled to play along. And that, in true Sophie fashion, was just the spark she needed to sound off. She grew up in Iowa, and she's a diehard Chiefs fan. So when they handed her a Colts jersey, she didn't put it on. She just held it up, that's it. No fake smile, no forced enthusiasm. Just a quiet, yeah, thanks, but I'm good kind of moment.
So the Colts have fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys. And Caitlin Clark, grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just it's so good. So good.
And of course, the internet went wild. Fans were calling Caitlin a real one, saying things like, she's staying loyal. And memes were flying all over Twitter like confetti. That's when Sophie jumped in, and her reaction was exactly what you'd expect from her. She said straight up, "That was awesome. I hope Caitlin knows how cool that was." Then she laughed and added, "I'm not even surprised by it." Classic Sophie. Now keep in mind, Sophie wasn't even at the game. She said she got the hell out of there before the event, but once she saw the video online, she couldn't stop hyping Caitlin up. Sophie called Caitlin's move, refusing to wear the Colts jersey, real and incredible. And honestly, she's right. It might seem like a small thing, but in a league where everyone's expected to play nice and stick to the PR script, that kind of authenticity hits different. Sophie said Caitlin's moment was her favorite thing to happen all week. She even joked that Caitlin could have just worn the jersey and smiled for the cameras, but the fact that she didn't cave made it even better. And honestly, that moment says a lot about why fans love both of them, Caitlin Clark is unapologetically herself. Sophie Cunningham is unapologetically loud. And when one outspoken player recognizes another, it's this rare mutual respect that fans can't get enough of. But that was just the beginning, because Sophie didn't stop there. She also opened up about her own recent controversies, especially the one where she cussed out WNBA leadership and ended up getting fined for it. Remember when she went on that rant about league executives not knowing anything about basketball? Yeah, that one. Well, in this interview, Sophie doubled down. She basically said, "Yeah, I said it. And no, I'm not taking it back." She explained it perfectly. "I'm not going back on what I said," she told the host. "But maybe how I said it could have been better." Then she laughed and added, "I might have been a little harsh, but it's also just me." Classic Sophie, half apology, half mic drop. She even admitted she's trying to be more mindful about how she speaks, because every time she drops a swear word, people act like she doesn't know what she's talking about. Her exact words, "When I cuss, people think I'm uneducated, but I do know what I'm talking about. I just cuss." And honestly, fair point. That's Sophie in a nutshell. Passionate, fiery, and unfiltered. That's her brand. Then the host asked if she regretted what she said about Kathy Engelbert or the league office. Sophie didn't even blink. "No, I meant every word," she said. "Maybe I shouldn't have cussed, but I meant it." That's the kind of blunt honesty fans crave. No walking on eggshells, no PR script, just straight-up truth. No hiding behind media training. Just saying what everyone else is already thinking. But the best part? Sophie didn't just talk about herself, she ended up defending Caitlin Clark again, without even realizing it. When asked if she's been watching the WNBA finals, she didn't sugarcoat it. "Hell no, I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm on a break," she said. Then she added, "Good luck to whoever wins. I honestly don't care who wins." Now, before anyone jumps on her for that, she actually made a solid point. After a long season filled with injuries, chaos, and non-stop drama, Sophie said she just needed to unplug. And honestly, that's something a lot of players feel but rarely admit publicly. She explained that when you're in it, competing every day, grinding through setbacks, and dealing with constant pressure, sometimes you just need to step away. Watching other teams play right after your season ends? It hurts. So when she said she's on a WNBA cleanse, it wasn't shade. It was burnout. And honestly, after the season she just had, who can blame her? Sophie said she's been taking it easy, spending time with family, relaxing, and finally enjoying a bit of a normal life. Still, she hasn't lost her trademark sarcasm. "I'm booking vacations. I'm over it. There's drama, but I'm done," she laughed, before adding, "Let's talk about fashion." Instead, only Sophie could go from ranting about league fines to chatting about peacoats and Christmas trips in the same breath, and somehow make it sound completely natural. But let's rewind to that Caitlin Clark jersey moment for a second, because it revealed something deeper. Sophie didn't just think it was funny, she thought it was powerful. To her, it showed that Caitlin knows exactly who she is and isn't interested in pleasing everyone. That kind of self-assurance? Sophie respects it, because it's exactly how she operates too. That kind of moment is rare in a league where players are constantly expected to be grateful, polished, and careful with every word. Sophie even said she hopes Caitlin realizes just how iconic that small gesture was. And honestly, she's not wrong. The clip of Caitlin holding that jersey ended up being one of the most shared WNBA posts of the week. It was confidence without a single word. Sophie called it awesome, and fans completely agreed. Because let's be real, Caitlin Clark could have done the typical PR move, smile for the cameras, throw the jersey on, and play along. But she didn't. She stood her ground, politely but firmly, and fans loved it. That's exactly why Sophie connects with her. Because both of them are unapologetically real. They don't fake it for social media, for the league, or for anyone else. Then, midway through the interview, Sophie switched gears. She started talking about what it really means to be outspoken in the WNBA, and the consequences that come with it. Sophie said she feels like she represents players who can't always speak their minds publicly, so she takes that responsibility seriously. In her words, I represent a lot of people who don't say stuff, so I want to make sure I say it right. That's a surprisingly self-aware moment from her, and a good one. She knows her platform carries weight. She's not just speaking for herself, but for players who can't risk fines, backlash, or losing sponsorships. And that's what sets her apart. She's loud, sure, but it's not just noise. She actually cares about what she's saying. Then she dropped one more gem that got fans talking. When the topic of WNBA leadership came up again, Sophie didn't backtrack. She still believes many of the league's executives don't truly understand the game. As she put it, they might be good business people, but they don't know basketball. That line blew up all over social media the first time she said it, and now she's doubling down. No backtracking, no apologies. Sophie simply explained why she feels that way. Because the people making the biggest decisions for players don't always seem to understand the game they're building around. And honestly, it's hard to argue with her on that. If you've followed Sophie for a while, you know this is exactly what fans expect from her. She's the player who says out loud what everyone else whispers behind closed doors. And the best part? Closed doors. And the best part? Even when she's saying something controversial, she's somehow still completely charming about it. Her energy is this perfect mix of country girl honesty and don't mess with me attitude, which makes everything she says feel like half an interview and half a stand-up routine. She'll cuss, laugh, drop a serious take, and then start talking about horses like nothing ever happened. That's her magic, and that's exactly what this latest interview reminded everyone of. Now, as we wrap up part 1 of this story, let's circle back to Caitlin Clark one more time, because it's clear Sophie genuinely respects her. She sees how the league constantly uses Caitlin's name for headlines and sponsorships, and you can tell Sophie's over it. She's basically saying, let the players breathe. Let Caitlin just be Caitlin. What's funny is that even while Sophie was trying to keep things light on the podcast, that same protective energy came through. She was defending players like Caitlin without even realizing it. Sophie said she's taking time off to find some peace. And maybe that's exactly what Caitlin needs too. After all the chaos that surrounded her this year, the two of them share something real in common. They're women who refuse to fake it. And in the WNBA right now, that kind of authenticity is about as rare as it gets. But if you thought Sophie was done after all that, think again. Once the podcast shifted to off-season talk, she went full Sophie again. She opened up about her WNBA cleanse, her knee recovery, and finally getting the chance to live a normal life for once. But even then, her tone never changed. That sarcastic, straight-to-the-point energy fans love was still there. She laughed about being on aunt duty, joked about catching baby fever, and admitted she's been home long enough to actually get bored. But then she got real for a moment. Sophie said she feels like the WNBA world is constantly on edge, and she wants to take a step back before all the drama eats her alive. That line hit hard, because honestly, this season was chaos. From constant injuries to media feuds and social media blowing up over every little thing Caitlin Clark did, it's been nonstop noise. And Sophie made it clear. She's done feeding that noise. When asked if she'd be watching the finals, she didn't hesitate. Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm booking vacations. That line pretty much summed up her mood. She's over the fake unity talk. She's not angry, just detached. And that's the difference. Sophie's not bitter. She's burned out. She even pointed out how fans think athletes just move on after a loss. But for players like her, it's not that simple. As she put it, you can't watch others live your dream right after it ends. You need space. That's a brutally honest take you don't hear often, especially in a league where most players stay polished, careful, and relentlessly professional. Then came the funniest part. Sophie started joking about winter fashion, peacoats, and Christmas bar crawls. Yes, in the same episode where she called out the league. Only Sophie could go from talking about WNBA fines to planning her dream holiday outfit without missing a beat. She said she's tired of living in sweatshirt fits and wants to look feminine and bougie this off-season. Her words, not mine. She's upgrading her wardrobe, planning a Christmas trip to New York. And yes, officially buying a pea coat. It's hilarious, but it also says a lot about her confidence. Sophie knows how to control the conversation. One minute, she's dropping truth bombs about league politics, and the next, she's laughing about winter fashion. That's her balance, her way of reminding everyone that she's not just the fiery player who swears a lot. She's human. Then the topic shifted to her rehab. Sophie admitted she ditched her leg cast early, without her doctor's permission, because, in her words, "I'm not patient." When the doctor finally checked her knee, they told her she was healing faster than expected. Sophie just laughed and said, "Say less." Classic. But the best moment came at the very end. The host asked if she had any regrets about being so blunt with the league. Sophie took a long pause before answering, "No, I'm proud of speaking up. Someone has to." That single line sums up her entire brand. Because no matter what people say about Sophie, too loud, too bold, too emotional, she keeps proving she's one of the few willing to say out loud what everyone else only whispers. And maybe that's why this interview blew up so fast. It wasn't just an athlete talking about sports. It was a reminder that honesty still cuts through the noise. It wasn't just an athlete talking. It was a person being brutally real about pressure, burnout, and what it means to keep your voice in a league that often punishes you for having one. And through all that, Sophie still found time to hype up Caitlin Clark. Not with fake praise or forced friendship, but with genuine respect. When Sophie said, "That was awesome. I hope Caitlin knows how cool that was," it wasn't just a throwaway comment. It was one outspoken player recognizing another for doing something bold. Both of them push back against what's expected, and that's exactly why fans love them, even if the league probably wishes they'd both tone it down. So yeah, Sophie didn't hold back in this interview. She didn't polish her words for PR, didn't soften her opinions, and definitely didn't fake excitement about watching the finals. What she gave fans was something they rarely get: honesty with personality. At the end of the day, that's why fans keep tuning in. Sophie Cunningham might make headlines for what she says, but at least the words are hers. Say what you want about her. She keeps the league interesting. The fact that she can call out leadership, hype up Caitlin Clark, and still joke about peacoats in the same interview? That's talent. So what do you think of Sophie's comments? Too real or just right? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more stories like this.